2 minutes off the clock at 8 a.m. and we're getting into our hour of motivation. We kick it off with a business tip this morning to let's tip you on something new for your business as a business person out there. And the business tip says focus on the leads, not the sales. Well, pretty much a breakdown of that particular one is for you as a business person, try to focus on these leads, not the sales. For example, you should be focusing on what is going to bring you the money, not not the money that you're going to get from the business. And so that is what the business tip says this morning. Focus on the leads, not the sales. Focus on what will bring the money, ideally. Now let's get our business quote of this morning. And that is Colin Powell, who says a dream does not become reality through magic. It takes sweat, determination, and hard work to perfect it. Kambuzi, Now, as we head to our business update again this particular morning, the members of parliament want the constituency development bank, the constituency development fund back. The number of members of parliament urged the government to re-establish 10 million constituency development fund in order to safeguard them from the burden of the overwhelmingly high requests made by some of the voters. Some of the MPs say that during their festive season celebrations, most of them got huge numbers of their voters knocking on their gates asking for help. And it's something that most of the MPs were left drained after the entire festive season because they were actually nursing wounds of the other voters because their voters were knocking on their gates asking them for monetary support and all those things. So in this same regard, the MPs want this particular constituency development fund back because that way at least they would be able to at least get funding from the government that will directly go on to support their different constituencies under which they represent. But however, there is a twist in everything. There is less implementation according to the MPs due to lack of these funds. And again, at the end of the day, it's not the MPs' work to fundraise, but it's the government's role to ensure that these particular funds go to these different constituencies. That is what some of the MPs want their voters to understand. But of course, due to the humanitarian cause, you get to believe MPs have to stand in as they help out on their voters. But however, even the 10 million Ugandan shillings, according to the MPs per year, is less money if it's targeting the constituency. Let's have more from this particular business update.
The reason why we are agitating for a constituency development fund is that members of parliament are at the helm of service delivery in the constituencies. Basically, the law as it is that we play the oversight role as provided for, to ensure that after the appropriation we follow up and see the implementation and the results. But basically, because of lack of release of funds, there is no implementation. And when there is no implementation, the demand squarely falls on members of parliament. And we end up diverting our roles to non-essential roles we are supposed to play. For example, if members of parliament would be left with supporting the communities by spearheading or participating in fundraisings to build churches, that would be okay. But now when we are asked to provide ambulance services, to do roads, to drill boreholes, to maintain boreholes, to fundraise for schools, construction of classroom blocks, we have seen members of parliament fundraising to buy land to construct sub-county headquarters, which is the lowest government level according to the arrangement we have now in Uganda, that the local council 3 is the lowest service delivery unit. But if a member of parliament is burdened to buy land to construct sub-county headquarters, a government establishment, then we must support the idea of coming up with a constituency development fund. These funds were, initially it was there, but very meager, 10 million per annum. I come from a border constituency with Kenya. I was in Kenya because our communities are interlinked. We were there for sports with members of parliament, the governor of Busia County, and you would really see the initiatives undertaken by members of parliament using constituency development funds. There are clearly identified roads where members of parliament use the CDF. We have schools, construction, renovations under the CDF. We have scholarships under the CDF for members of parliament to support needed but bright children in their areas. So I want this to come here, because when we see the service delivery, especially on lower government units, which are the implementation units, there is no money. A unit which receives 20% of the entire annual budget can only implement as far as 20% planned. So the 80% unplanned falls on the burden of members of parliament. That's why we need to be cushioned, such that we are not burdened and we concentrate on other roles of oversight, representation, and to make laws. Because even in Kenya, how the CDF works is that there is a council, there is a body that oversees this. The member of parliament only pretends over these funds and the mechanism to utilize them. So this would be a good initiative here. It would strengthen and support the decentralized system we have in the country, where some of the funds are not directly being channeled to the local councils, and they have no mechanism of follow-up. The money is basically not enough, because 10 million shillings per annum, actually it was a trap for members of parliament, and also it never came with clear accountability channels. We are talking about money that can help to provide scholarships for needy students, money that can help to renovate and build schools, to construct and improve roads, road network, to improve access to safe water. For example, in Kenya, it is $50 million, 50 million Kenyan shillings, which is approximately 1.7 billion shillings per annum. So, of course, the economy does well. It is a better economy. We cannot ask for the same. But something relatively that can help. The other parliamentary commission, before it expired, it had proposed 100 million shillings for members of parliament for annual constituency development fund, which will help to augment service delivery if fully and well utilized.
Development fund to be reintroduced, and the government pays the members of parliament a development fund is not possible. First of all, it is irregular because a member of parliament is supposed to provide an oversight on government agencies that are implementing government programs and projects. So who will audit those members of parliament when they get the money? Who will check them? The fact that there is nobody to check them, there is no system to use, they should leave the money for development to pass through the districts and sub-counties. Then they follow the money there. Then they keep on checking them. Which money doesn't go to the programs? I'm a member of Public Accounts Committee. There is the Public Accounts Committee local government, there is Public Accounts Committee central government. We check on how government is performing. Members of parliament are members of district councils. So how do you say that they are, members of parliament are chairpersons of the road committees who receive the money? So how do you say that they are not going there? Has its own challenges. We have not seen it is government is still working on it, but it is not yet streamlined. Because like punishment model, there is already no accounting officer for punishment model, and there is no mechanism, there is no law. I believe that the government will be building a law, a punishment model act, so that they can now provide for who does what, and then sanctions. But you cannot say because of punishment model, now the members of parliament want money. No, that one cannot work. Second, the government doesn't have the money anyway.
Yeah, this move is viable. We are not looking for additional funds. We are aware of the budget, the resource envelope. We are only talking about how we can reallocate within, how we can rearrange our priorities. And once we rearrange our priorities, we get money from where it is spent without impact to where it can create impact and create value for leadership in this country. That's where my argument has been that the planned activities are not undertaken because money is not released. And we believe money is not released because of lack of proper follow-up and pressure from the user units. They lack the teeth to bite. For example, parish development model. This is we have started the budget process for the third year of the parish development model. The third year. We had the first year where 20 million, I think, was allocated. We had the second year where 100 million was appropriated, whereby we are halfway and we expect 50 million should have been released. But I want to tell you that in my constituency where I have a number of parishes, none of the parishes has received the parish development fund money. So I cannot, I have been there, but I've been stuck. We followed up a Myoga and we were stuck because the Myoga groups had not received the money and were asking us to provide the money such that we can follow up. Otherwise, we felt not very useful to go and follow up money which they have not received. So it's not about duplication, but it's about efficiency. There is a way if money is channeled through Constituency Development Fund, the government will respect this kind of appropriation and release timely the funds, as opposed to the current system, whereby you go to the districts, they have not received the money, you go to the ministries, some of them are saying we're in the process of receiving money, you go to the ministry responsible to send the money, they are telling you we are about to release the money, so you get lost. But if this money is our responsibility, we shall follow up for quick release, we shall also follow up for quick utilization, and service delivery will improve.
Some of the legislators, 10 million per year is less money. and I couldn't agree more on that same matter. But of course, they are claiming that the implementation of this particular one is due to lack of funding, and of course, the fact that there is less funding to it. That is why they want the constituency development funds back, where government has to send in funds that will be running the different constituencies to help out. Now, this is an outcry coming out from the fact that when the MPs return to their villages or their different constituencies during the festive season celebrations, they got to realize that the most of the representations or the people they represent were not having a fair enough life, who were apparently rushing to their gates to seek for advice or to seek for some monetary and financial support from their area members of parliament. But well, besides that, next up, that takes us to the dairy production in the country and how far it is going. Because when you look at the agriculture sector in Uganda, if we had to look at the fact that dairy production is actually growing, with the fact that we want to compete with the regional competitions that is inclusive of Kenya, Tanzania, and Rwanda. And up with in regards to some of the reports as of December 2021, Uganda's dairy production was 2.81 billion liters of milk. By that time, 2.1 billion liters as of December 2021. That is 800 million liters, which were consumed within Uganda, with over 2 billion liters were available for export as of December 2021. Let's get more from this advert.
Uganda is among the top 3 dairy producers in Africa. One of the driving factor is the incentive dairy farmers face. Because of the international market that has been around, international market goes with lucrative price. We have since 1990, since 1992, we saw a lot of value-adding industries in dairy coming in Mbarara. Actually, I think we have so many plants right now in the dairy sector and with export opportunities. That's number one. Number two is our production costs relative to our neighbors. The most competing neighbor in dairy sector is Kenya, but Kenya has a high producer, a high cost producer, so they buy from us most of the raw of the inputs. They buy our maize to go and turn it into feed, and then sometimes sell the feed back here. But the point is, you asked what are the main factors. The incentives our farmers have been facing, and the government policy in itself, it has been continuously dedicated to improving the dairy sector. We have the fully fledged Dairy Development Authority that is monitoring regulation, guiding on policy. And then we, the farmers, dairy is not like crop. You don't wait for 3 months or 9 months to get income. Dairy is a daily source of income. You milk, you take to the plant, you get your money at the end of the month. So those characteristics of the dairy sector makes it a vibrant sector to enter in and interesting. One of the major challenges in the dairy sector is fake acaricides, tick-borne resistance. And tick-borne resistance is caused by a number of things, but one of the major ones is inappropriate acaricides on the market. Because the acaricide market, the agrochemical market is liberalized, and because it is liberalized, it is chaos. Everyone does whatever they wish and buy whatever they wish, and as a result, there is poor management of acaricides. And poor management at all levels, the level of the farmer, the level of the business person who is in there, and the level of the extension worker, and the government that cannot follow through all these actors. So when you combine this, you have tick-borne resistance, and tick-borne resistance leads to loss of a herd, the death of cows, the inefficient production of cows. A sick animal cannot give you sufficient milk. A sick animal cannot give you quality milk. A sick animal will definitely increase your cost of production. So all these added together, it's a very big challenge. The second challenge is water for production. Animals need water to produce milk. And we are in the cattle corridors incredibly hit by drought occasionally. That's why you see prices of milk go up in drought period and go down in wet period, because there is water and pasture. So the third one is pasture. Now, in a drought that lasted last year, people lost their cows, including mine. They don't only lose their cows because of lack of pasture, but also because of disease. There is a positive correlation between foot and mouth disease and drought and lack of pasture. So all these, so you can talk of disease control, disease management and disease control. You can talk of pasture, you can talk of water, and then our own practices as farmers not being well equipped to produce properly for the international market.
So by far the majority of milk production systems in Uganda are characterized by low input output approach. Then there is something to do with livestock having some huge challenges in there in regards to the fact that dealing with, of course, look at the pests, for example, that attack the agricultural output, for example, the feeds, the agricultural feeds, and of course, it goes back again to the diseases that attack the animals directly. Now, these particular pests end up eating up the animal feeds in the different gardens, but mainly the biggest challenge could be, for example, the tick-borne diseases that attack these particular cattle, and at the end of the day affect the productivity of the dairy products or the kind of or the quality of milk that is being produced. And this is one of the key sectors in there. But of course, there's also value addition in the agricultural industry, value addition in the dairy production in Uganda, with manufacturing of powdered milk in it, as well as manufacturing of yogurt, manufacturing of ghee, and a lot of that coming in from their biscuits, cakes coming in from dairy products and all that. So it is a sector that is steadily shaping up Uganda's agriculture industry as well. And with that update, we're heading into the break. When I do return, we shall be having the sports business and the latest from entertainment business. But just quickly run on to the Zabo platform using the USSD code *292#. It's just 10 minutes off the opening time of the markets. The markets opened at 8:15 a.m. Before they do close at 3:15 p.m., you should be able to have invested something with you. With just a minimum of 15,000 Ugandan shillings or more, you can definitely kickstart off your investment journey today, or you can continue investing in government bonds with Zabo. Zabo is a platform powered by Alltech East Africa, which says you can do something new today. Zabo, my money, my future. Continue doing so and see your money grow. After the break, I do return with sports business and the latest from entertainment business with Barry Andrew. Stick around.